Have you heard about the crazy stuff that's been happening with Randy Pitchford these last couple of months?
I've heard some of the things.
It is hilarious. Now, I was not prepared to talk about this, so I'm not super knowledgeable about what's going on, but I heard about it when it happened. I don't know. Was it like 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks ago? Am I just counting now? Is that what this podcast is?
Next week, we're going to be telling you the difference between our L's and our R's.
Oh, no, never. It's fairly difficult. Hello, my beautiful bokoblins. Welcome to the Nintendo Everything Podcast, episode 20. I am your host, Oni Dino. With me, I have the tallest moblin you've ever come across, Galen.
You know, I've always kind of seen myself more as a Goron than a Moblin, but you know what? I'll leave that to your judgment.
Yeah, you're right, actually, because Gorons are, like, nice, and they got, like, that kind face and that kind demeanor. Yeah, you're definitely more like a Goron.
Yeah, thank you.
They do, like, those weird sounds, too, like, or whatever. Yeah, but it's, like, endearing. It's nice. Moblins are just kind of, like, goofy and mean.
Mm-hmm. Plus, I can actually do the Goron dance, so...
Oh, like King Darunia?
Yeah.
Man, I love him. He looks like, especially in Hyrule Warriors, the way that they kind of made him look, he looks so much like Iroh from Avatar, the anime, the American-made anime.
Yeah,
so much like him.
I've never actually made that connection before. That's funny.
I just can't unsee it. Once I started seeing it, I was like, "Whoa, holy crap!"
I can't unsee this.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm happy with it. I'm fine with it because I love both those characters. Iroh's great. So, Galen, the Game Developers Conference is coming up today or tomorrow, or depending on when you're listening to this already. And then PAX East is coming up in like a week. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that is being teased and like hinted at, and people are like, oh, did they tease this? Did they tease that? Oh, is this coming to the Switch? Like a whole bunch of nonsense like that. So are you ready for all of this crazy talk?
Absolutely. I love all the rumors that fly around this time of this time of year, and like what's gonna be coming up, what are we gonna see, what new, like...
Oh, it's exhausting.
I like it.
I mean, I like it. It's just that so many things where it's like, how did you make that connection, you crazy people online? Just put it back in the deck. So before we tire me out any further than I already am, let's just jump into our adventure log. This week, I did some playing of a new game. Why did I say my sentence backwards?
I think it was not bad. It made sense to me.
Oh, God. The new game that and it's not even new, it's new to me, Celeste.
Ooh.
Yeah. Have you played this yet?
I have not.
This is totally right up your alley.
Mm-hmm.
So Celeste, I mean, I'm late to the party on this. It is a pixel-perfect platformer kind of thing, inspired by 16-bit visual style. And there's a lot that's already been said about this game. It's great. It's got great music. It's got a good message, all that kind of stuff. So I knew what I was going into when I started it up. But there were a lot of things that I did not expect, like just how well animated the characters are and just little things are in the game. There's so much personality in these like little tiny details, and it's really polished.
Yeah, no, I hear that the game is absolutely gorgeous. I hear that it's also one of those games that the soundtrack of it really kind of moves you. You actually talked about the soundtrack before, right?
Did I? I don't think so.
I might be thinking of another game, but I could have sworn it was Celeste that you talked about a couple of episodes ago.
Listeners can let me know if I'm losing my mind, because I don't think so. It was at what was that? There's so many award shows nowadays, man. The Video Game Awards. It was at that last year, which is, I don't know, October-ish, and they did a live performance there of something. So
yeah.
But getting back to like the visuals on it, there are all of these little animations that I didn't know that were in the game at all. Like your main character, Madeline, she has animations for like struggling and holding on to stuff and balancing, like if you are at the edge of a cliff or something like that, crouching and so much more. And it's all in this little tiny sprite where there's not even really room for eyes on the sprite because it's so small. So they do a great job of bringing that across. And that requires a lot of finesse and attention to detail. It's not as easy as that seems. So I really appreciate that.
No, that sounds really cool, and I love I really feel that the pixel art style of games is where you see the most care and love brought into just the very subtle animations.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I'm also seeing that through rose-tinted glasses too, because I just love the 16-bit pixel art aesthetic. So there was one thing that I really loved. When your characters are talking to each other, they have a character portrait, just like in a lot of Super Nintendo, PlayStation era dialogue games. And you meet like an evil version of yourself early on, and that character is talking to you in like a bit of a condescending or aggressive way or something. And so far, everybody has stayed in their character portrait. Their face has stayed in the portrait. But this character says something, and a bit of their hair falls out of frame of the portrait, and it's almost like breaking the fourth wall, but not really. It's just like suddenly it's like, oh, I'm not playing by the rules, but it also matches what that character is kind of giving off at the moment. You know, they're being aggressive or making you feel uncomfortable, and it was just this tiny little detail, not necessary for them to do something like that at all, but it just landed so strong. And I love little things like that in games.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was such a weird little detail, and I don't know why it hit me so it gave me such a good impression, but yeah, loved it. So yeah, again, I'm super late to the party, but if you like platformers and not just like super hard ones, because I like hard platformers, but I mean, I get a little tired of that genre, you will enjoy this for sure, because I'm enjoying it. So do check it out. I'm going to keep playing it a bunch more. Yeah. So Galen, what about you?
So I have actually been super busy this week, between the launch of our new channel and the surprise. I guess not really a surprise, but some good friends of ours actually had their first child. So congratulations to them! Shout out to their little baby. But I have had no time to play games. Like, none whatsoever. I'm like going through withdrawals right now.
Oh, I did want to mention, yeah, you said new channel. Like, in case people didn't hear it at the end of last episode, you and I started a YouTube channel called the Super Turbo Fighters.
Absolutely, yeah.
We play video games.
We are just two fools who love to play video games. And if you like, just the weird banter that we have going back and forth, that's basically what our channel is.
Yeah, we're trying to figure it out.
Yeah. A lot of name calling at the very beginning, I feel, but that's okay. I'm okay with
that.
Up. A lot of demanding to save more frequently, but that's a thing too.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was an idiot. I was so rude and like insist. Anyway, we got to move on. This is not promotion. This is not the Super Turbo Fighters cast. This is the Nintendo Everything podcast. So moving on. But anyway, yes, Galen is super busy because Galen pretty much manages that like single-handedly.
Mm-hmm.
Galen is super hard worker on that. So yeah, I wanted to point that out.
Yeah, video editing is definitely a hobby of mine that I'm glad that I finally got a chance to pick back up. So yeah. But with all that going on, haven't really had much time to play games. What I have had time for, though, is listening back to some of our old podcasts, specifically the earlier episodes. And I realized something. I never got to ask you any questions.
You hit me with this right before we started recording, and I was like, oh my god, what is he doing?
Nope, this is gonna happen. This is totally gonna happen.
Yeah, so go on.
All right, I got 5 questions for you. Are you ready for this?
No, go on.
So, question number 1. What is the one game that you are most ashamed of to admit you have owned or have played?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't think anything really comes to mind. Yeah, honestly, nothing comes to mind. I don't have anything like embarrassing. I also don't feel embarrassment over what I play, but I also don't play like the super crazy, like, I don't know, like naked girl or guy adventure, whatever those possibly are. There was a beach volleyball game on the GameCube that had mediocre but solid gameplay.
Mediocre butts?
No, the butts were fine. It was not anything special, but I played the hell out of that game just because, I don't know, I was super into volleyball at the time too, and I guess that's my answer, just because I can't think of anything else. I don't feel shame. Nobody should feel shame for things that they like, by the way. Everybody...
No, that's true.
I mean, I like to make fun of things too, so I mean, that's contradictory of me to say, but I don't make fun of people for things. I make fun of things for things. Just like I said last episode, I don't talk, crap about people, but I will talk shit about art.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I feel.
All right.
I don't remember the name of that beach volleyball game either.
I think it's funny that you mentioned that, because I actually had a friend of mine who absolutely loved the Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball franchise. And he absolutely insisted that he liked it because it was a decent volleyball game. He was just one of those guys that we all kind of had to look at him and be like, really?
Yeah, just say you like titties. It's fine. It's okay. I don't know if that's inappropriate of me to say, sorry. But I mean, whatever. Like, it's fine. The reason I didn't play that game is because when I saw some gameplay, I was like, this doesn't look like a very good volleyball game.
Yeah.
Like, it looks more like a, gotta pet my women kind of nonsense game. Which, whatever, if that's your thing, that's your thing, but it's not my thing.
All right, moving on.
Yep.
Question number 2. If you were offered to have dinner with either Reggie Fils-Aimé, Miyamoto, or Fudokara, and they were all at different restaurants, so you can only choose one of the 3, who would you have dinner with?
What are the restaurants? What are they serving?
You know what? They
that
say
shouldn't
you can
be
choose.
A factor.
That should not be a factor.
But you said that they're all at 3 different restaurants, so I was like, well, then what's the deal? Like, okay, ignoring that. Probably Reggie.
Probably Reggie.
I want to say maybe Miyamoto, but I don't feel like I'll get a whole lot out of that. I feel like I would get more out of the meeting with Reggie in terms of what I can learn. Because I'm not like a game developer or anything like that, but I do have to do some public speaking and I do have to do public relations. So I would learn more from Reggie. So yeah, definitely him for those reasons.
You could also show him your Reggie dance.
He can show me his Reggie dance. We can do the Reggie dance together. Oh, that would be so fun. Yeah. I'm doing it now. I'm tapping my watch, shaking my booty, stirring face. That's the trifecta.
Just completely stoic.
By the way, I have to correct you, and I'm sorry, but you keep saying Fudokara, but it's Fudokawa.
Oh, that's what I thought I was saying.
Oh, it really sounded like Fudokara. Maybe I'm the jerk here. Sorry.
All right, moving on. Number 3. What game do you think you have spent the latest nights playing?
Oh, the latest nights.
Yeah, just the game that you have not been able to put down and you realize you've been playing it way too late.
Wow. So the first thing that comes to mind is Final Fantasy games. Like,
All right.
Not one in particular, but especially when I was younger, because I haven't really played many of the Final Fantasies lately, and plus they come out so damn infrequently. I definitely have stayed up like, okay, it's 10 p.m. Okay, it's 11 p.m. Okay, it's 3 a.m. You know what I mean? That said, when Breath of the Wild came out, I stayed up the entire night because I went to the midnight launch and I picked it up and I stayed up the entire night playing that game. And wow, that was a great experience.
You are lucky. I am ashamed to say that I did not pick up the Switch on day 1. So
Yeah. I shamed you into buying one.
There was no shame. There was, hushed anticipation. So
Hushed Anticipation. Wow, that's a great title for a terrible love novel.
yeah. Oh, you've been reading my works that I've been sending you.
Yeah. It's taken me forever to edit them. I don't know where we're gonna go with that, but you know what? Not on the podcast.
Yep, moving on.
It's probably
moving on.
NSFW.
On a personal note, when I thought about this question, it was actually a three-way tie between Pokemon, Mega Man Battle Network, and Phoenix Wright.
Oh, yeah. Those are all three staples for you.
Mm-hmm. And for all three of them, I can distinctly remember staying up until the sun came up and realizing I just spent all night in my bed, not sleeping, playing this game. So,
and yeah, all three of those are portable too.
Yeah, I was about to say all three of those are handhelds. Now that I think about it,
that's a nice little insight into the Galen life.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
Okay.
Question number 4.
Yup.
You are allowed to play only one franchise for the rest of your life. This includes any games that have been released and any games that will be released. What franchise do you choose?
Oh, God. That is really, really hard. It's a serious toss-up between Zelda and Final Fantasy, but I guess I'm just going to go with Zelda because the future is more promising for Zelda than it is for Final Fantasy at this current moment. I don't know what Square Enix is doing as a business. You know what I mean? Their quality is all over the place.
Also, when you think about Zelda, you also think that they have a pretty wide net as far as genres you can play in.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of applies for Final Fantasy too. And there's more Final Fantasies than there are Zeldas, I think. Mm-hmm. I don't know. There's a lot in both of those. So they're both probably solid, sad choices.
But with Zelda, you also have the shooter franchise because you can break out your Wii Zapper.
Mm-hmm, which I never bought because I never bought that game because I never wanted it.
I think I got it on sale for like $10.
I recall you having it, and I went over to your house and didn't even play it.
Yep, that pretty much explains the entire life history of the Wii Zapper. So
I was done with it the moment I saw it.
Pretty much. Okay, I got the final question for you.
Dun dun dun.
So you somehow got yourself onto the video game version of The Bachelor. Who do you give your first rose to in the very first episode?
Okay, this is difficult because I don't know how The Bachelor operates. Is giving your rose, is that choosing somebody?
Yes, so it's you go on a date with all the contestants, and then at the end of the episode, you give roses out to whoever you want to advance to the next round.
Oh, so you date all of them, and then you...
Yeah, but the essence of the question is more of, as you go throughout the series, you get to have more dates with that person. So this is a first episode, very first interaction basis. Who would you choose? And I'll let you pick whoever you want to be a contestant.
All right. Before I answer your question, I have a question for you. Why are you watching The Bachelor so much?
Listen, I have already explained I have some weird time habits, so answer the question.
So it's gotta be somebody smart but also attractive, but also conflicted. All right, I'm gonna go a little bit obscure with this, just a bit.
Sion from The Bouncer.
No, he's like 12. He's like 12. Also, he. All right, I have an answer, by the way, in my head. I'm not stalling for time, but okay. I'm gonna say that's when Tetsuya Nomura's character design was really, really dipping in quality. It was like, I'm gonna draw a character and they're just ridiculous looking. By the way, or is there a place that I can put a zipper that there isn't a zipper? Add a zipper.
Yeah.
Zippers and chains and buckles and crap. It looks dumb. It looks like a ball of yarn, except a human. Anyway, My answer for the first rose, and then you get to give more roses later, right? It's not like the only person.
Correct.
Okay. Is Delita from Final Fantasy Tactics.
Oh.
I know,
Okay.
I'm going a little obscure with it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Explain your thought process on this one.
So it's been a minute since I played Final Fantasy Tactics, so I'm not super up to knowledge on the characters, but I remember the feelings that I get from characters. Ooh, that sounded a little gross. Didn't mean it like that. I just mean like how characters make me feel in an emotional way.
Volleyball games for the GameCube, ladies
No,
and gentlemen.
stop it. Don't do any of whatever you're talking about. So, firstly, I have to explain that sentiment. Lots of games, even games I've played a bajillion times over, like, say, Zeldas or Final Fantasies, I don't recall, like, what the character exactly, their motivation was, or exactly what they said or something, but I recall how I felt when I played that game very vividly. And so sometimes my feelings can deceive me, which is sometimes great, sometimes terrible. That's how I live in this nightmarescape of my existence. Anyway, putting that aside.
Wow, this got a lot deeper than I expected it to.
Me too. Wow, I had to pull myself out of the abyss. Let's talk about Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Delita from Final Fantasy is very mysterious. He's very conflicted, and he wants to save, I believe it was his sister. So he has an ultimate goal of wanting to help somebody else, but therefore all of the actions that he must take are selfish, for a lack of better word. And there's a shroud of mystery. He's very smart and a very good tactician. He's a good fighter, pretty handsome. There's a lot going on there.
You know what? I appreciate that answer. I can definitely accept that answer.
Thank you. Now I just want to play Final Fantasy Tactics again.
This was nice. I feel like I got that out of my system. I feel initiated now.
Thank you very much for the questions, Galen. I had a nice time.
Yeah. I do have this write-in question. Why are you so mean to your co-host? We'll get to that one later.
We're not. We've answered it. Stop writing that question in. Hey, let's talk about some news. Like I said, we got GDC, Game Developers Conference, and PAX East coming up. GDC very soon, PAX East in like a week or so. So, lots of hints, lots of things going on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, actually, before we talk about all that junk, let's just talk very briefly about Destiny Connect TikTok Travelers being announced for the West. That's coming in autumn, and it also comes with a limited edition as well. Destiny Connect is a game that we've been talking a little bit about on the podcast. I am clearly super into JRPGs, so this is my garbage right here. Love it. Destiny Connect is a turn-based RPG inspired by like Super Nintendo and PlayStation era RPGs, the JRPGs.
Mm-hmm.
But visually, it is more modern. It's in 3D with like cartoonish models, but not like intentionally polygonal or something like that. So when you see the visuals, you can kind of see the inspiration that it takes from that era, but reinterprets it. And I'm really digging it. It's very colorful and cute, and stylized. I like it. So looking forward to this. I almost picked it up the other day too, so I'm so glad that I heard that there's a Western version, because I always try to support a Western version rather than a Japanese version. Even though I can read the Japanese one, I will wait. I got plenty of games to play. That's for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited that this one's getting a Western release. And
Yeah.
I was going to say about the animation style, I watched a trailer for it again, and one of the things that it reminded me of was actually the Final Fantasy Fables Chocobo's Dungeon game that came out with the Wii.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, that's coming out really soon. That's coming out, I think, in like a couple of days. It's like a remake-ish thing. Everybody is what it's called.
I can't wait for that one. But
yeah, you're right. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, just the way that the actual people are and the way that the effects are both animated and illustrated. It gave me a lot of feels and reminders of that.
Just say feelings. Just say feelings.
feeling.
No, not singing. Yeah, it definitely has a very not unique, but like a very poignant. Not poignant. What are these words I'm using?
It's a very distinctive, very different style.
Yeah, it's distinct. It's definitely going for something, and it's going that
Yeah.
direction with the cartoonish models, and I like it a lot.
Yeah, me too.
It seems very nice and whimsical, and I'm ready to get in there. So with this announcement came some PR, where they highlighted some key features. So there are 3 bullet points called Time Walker, Gear Grinder, and Fixer Upper. Time Walker means that you explore the enigmatic town of Clockney and watch as the world shifts around you based on your actions. Gear Grinder means you use your mechanical skills to fend off hostile machines and manipulate parts of the environment. Then Fixer Upper, you enter workshops where you can improve your items and equipment using gears. So there's clearly customization, all that good junk that JRPG lovers want in their game, right?
Yeah.
You get to change your world around you, there's mystery involved. I like that.
Yeah. And I like in the PR they kind of, I mean, it's a subtle thing, but I like how they gave it a little bit of a spin other than saying, hey, customize your world. Hey, go to the shops and upgrade your character. Like, they gave it a little bit of world flavor and a little bit of world building in the way that they presented it. And I like that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, me too. That's definitely why I wanted to read it too. It was cute. This game just has like a nice little burst of personality just coming out of all the little areas.
It's definitely coming off as very endearing.
Yes. So, buying that. And then also we got an announcement that Alliance Alive HD Remaster is coming to the Nintendo Switch. This is a game that came out on the 3DS, and I have been talking about it because I've been really looking forward to playing it. I bought it when it first came out on the 3DS, and I never even started it yet, and then now it's coming to the Switch. Fine, I'll buy it again. Jeez. But this is a bit of an overlooked game based on when it came out on the 3DS. It's a classic JRPG with staff from big hitters like Final Fantasy, Suikoden, the Saga series, and many more. And if I recall correctly, it had really good reviews for the story and battle system. So this is definitely one to look out for if you are into JRPGs. And as with Destiny Connect, this also had some key features from PR. We got a vivid world where you explore numerous themed realms using ships, animal mounts, and flying machines. Forged in battle, where you ignite your determination to execute critical attacks and, quote-unquote, awaken new skills for your characters mid-battle. Then stand together, forming alliances with various guilds to bolster your strength while gaining access to new vehicles, areas, magic, and more. So, once again, more JRPG goodness for me, Oni Dino, buying that. Even though I already own it. It's an irrational purchase, but you know what? I want to support the game.
Yeah, not only I want to mention on both of these, I noticed that they're coming out with collector's editions for both of them, too.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that. I'm really sorry. Limited editions, collector's editions for both of them, even though one of them is a re-release.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually looking into that a little bit with the Destiny Connect. So, looks like it's coming out with not only the game, it comes in a hardcover art book, soundtrack, poster, and something called a slammer coin, which is, I'm assuming, some sort of minigame that you can actually play in it itself, because they have a couple of other, like, they're calling it cogs that go along with it, but they look like pogs, essentially.
That's actually great, though, for that game, because clearly you use gears and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So, cog, pog, yeah.
Yeah. And then in Alliance Alive, it looks like they took a little bit of a modest approach to all of it. Its limited edition comes with an art book, a soundtrack, the collector's box, and then 9 paper dolls, which I think is a little interesting.
They might just be like, it's weird to say paper doll, but like, you know, those like cutout figures, and then it's got like a base, so that way you can have them stand
upright. And that's from the promotional images. That's kind of what it looks like. I have to ask, are either of these special editions kind of like speaking out to you? Do you think you'll go with that or just kind of go with the base version of the game?
Neither of them are particularly interesting. The only thing I'm interested in either of them is an art book. And I didn't look this up before we started doing this. Do either of them come with an art book? I feel like they both do.
They both do.
Okay, good. So
yeah,
maybe just because an art book is in there, I really like looking through them. I enjoy the art of both of those games, so I might bite on it just for that alone. The paper dolls, the pogs, all that junk, abso-freaking-lutely not. I don't care about that stuff. So we'll see. I don't recall the prices, but if the price is only like a little bit different, I will go that route. But if it's a lot different, then I'm just going to go with the cheaper version. I typically don't go for collector's editions. Only very few things will I buy collectors.
Yeah. I feel like I'm in the same way, but when it comes to like what appeals to me in a collector's edition, I'm almost the exact opposite of what you are. Like, I think that throwing in an art book, throwing in a soundtrack, like, that stuff is nice, but ultimately I'm going to get more enjoyment out of the game than I will of that items.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, if I'm going to be getting a collector's edition, I want something that is a little bit more unique. Like a statue or I almost said like downloadable costumes that you can equip your characters with, but there's
but you
kind
knew
of
I was
like...
going to slap you across the face. I was going to reach through the internet and slap you across the face.
I know you will. You probably still will now that I think about it. When it comes to downloadable items in collector's editions, I feel it's a weird balancing act that you have to pull, because if it's something that you would actually want to equip to your character, I think that's cool. But I've been playing too many games where they offer as a collector's item, you get it, it's kind of cool when you start out the game, but then you end up like tossing it to the side after you get your first like major upgrade, and then it's completely moot after that point.
I honestly hate all of that stuff. Especially
Really?
being included in collectors nonsense. Like, pre-order now to get the DLC whatever pack to make the game easier, or the BS whatever it's called, way overpowered weapon, or dumb costume that shows off way too much skin or something like that. I don't know, I'm not a prude or something, but I mean, that's usually where those stupid things go, right? Gotta get the otaku crowd, because that's who spends the money. But I hate that stuff in games, because it's like, you're locking content behind a pre-order. I mean, locking content behind an amiibo is also a thing. I don't like that at all. I would much rather be like, hey, do you like art? Do you like the art of this video game? Here's an art book. If you don't like it, buy the regular thing, and that's it. Don't have it be like, hey, do you want the complete edition of the game? Then you better spend the more money to buy it. I hate that.
Yeah. One of my favorite games, and you know this, in the past when it comes to something that you are getting in addition to the game, is the Lunar franchise back for the PlayStation.
Oh yeah, this is also a bit of a different era too of collector's editions.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it came with an art book, it came with, I remember a metal like pendant in the second game that I wore around for like all of high school, because I was that kind of, trench coat wearing, fedora wearing guy. So.
You were never a fedora wearing guy.
No, it's because my head's too big.
You have a tiny head.
I do not have a tiny head.
Well, you don't have a large head. Regardless,
I look terrible in hats.
Oh. I know the feeling. I don't look very good in hats either. But anyway. You were not a fedora. Don't throw yourself down that level, man. If I will say though, to kick you up one notch just above that, but still real low in the bottom of the bucket, if we were any younger, we would have. Well, I don't know about me, because I didn't really care for the show, but maybe you would have been one of those Naruto headband wearing people. We were just a couple years too old for that craze, because Naruto started getting popular in Japan when we were in upper high school, I want to say. Yeah. And then it only started coming west maybe in upper high school, college years or something. So by that time, we were not running around doing the Naruto run to try and get across the street. and wearing headbands. Yeah, I think we were just a bit. Anyway,
I'm
what were we talking about?
I'm sure you were a little too old when that came out. Emphasis on you.
Wait, did you do this? Also, you're like 2 months older than me.
True. Fun story.
Is it
back
fun?
Okay, embarrassing story.
Okay, I'm ready.
Back when I was in high school, I went through an anime phase and
Shocker.
actually ended up going to a video game and anime convention, and the very first cosplay I ever did was as a Naruto character. So
Was it it was an OC Do Not Steal character.
I don't think it was that bad, but anyway, we were talking about as I try to redeem myself from this.
No, you said it was an embarrassing story. You live in this right now.
That's true. I'm basking in it. No, but going back, I really appreciated that this was the base copy of Game for Lunar that they came out with.
Oh, yeah, that's what we were talking about. Holy crap.
Yeah. I kind of went on a bit of a tangent there.
Yeah. Animo.
Yeah, it was really cool to me that they offered so much for picking up the game and you got invested in it, and I remember like really appreciating it. And that's part of what attracted me so much to the game, that I felt like there was this love and care more than here's a game for you to play, here is a little package that we're giving you.
Yeah.
So I've always had a very soft spot when it comes to collector's editions. I've definitely picked up a lot, but yeah, I just feel that they've definitely kind of become more cliche, more formulaic with what they offer.
I would be way more harsh.
Yeah.
Nowadays, especially from certain companies like, say, Ubisoft, they're one of the big offenders.
Oh, God, yeah.
Where they release all of these different kinds of collector's editions, and not one of them contains all of the same items.
You need a Venn diagram flowchart just in order to see what you're actually getting.
Jim Sterling on YouTube is a big criticizer of that thing, and he points out the actual, what is it, like marketing tactic of intentionally confusing your audience into purchasing.
And not only that, but you're creating an atmosphere of, hey, I need to get this or else I'm going to miss out.
Yeah, because
everything.
with all of these different versions, and all of them cost, I don't know, $100, $120, $250, whatever, then you're looking at your base game of $60 and be like, wow, this is an incomplete package. But nobody's shouting about it loud enough, you know?
Yeah.
So that's huge problems, and I will never support even a game that does that kind of thing.
Bringing this back around to a more narrowed subject, I've also noticed that Nintendo really doesn't do a whole lot of special editions, especially for their core stuff.
You're right. They don't, and I kind of wish they would do them a little bit more just for the sake of the option, and just have one collector's edition or something like that. I think the Breath of the Wild one that they did there was 2 collector's versions, at least in North America, and that was forgivable because one of them just came with like a super crazy statue and the other one didn't, and it came with everything else. So that sort of made sense because it was a big statue. I didn't buy that version, but I did buy that like second tier collector's edition, mostly because it came with a case. That was the reason.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Because that was a really practical purchase. I was going to buy a case anyway.
Exactly. And I feel that coming out with a collector's edition, having something to say, hey, look, this is a really cool thing that I could actually use, as opposed to put up on a shelf and it's going to start collecting dust, or it got so much use and you still celebrated the game itself. And I feel like when they came out with those special editions, I feel like this was Nintendo kind of testing the waters a little bit to see how they felt doing some sort of collector's edition.
Maybe.
And I wish that they would continue on with that trend, because if they had come out with a collector's edition for, let's say, Super Mario Odyssey, I would have been very interested to see what they would have come out with that.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't, honestly, because, I mean, it's Mario.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and especially because that game was so much a celebration of Mario history with all the costumes and everything that you could unlock in the game. I'm surprised they didn't do more.
Are you talking about locking content?
No, I'm not talking about locking content. I'm talking about taking the same kind of approach and like, here's a special edition that comes with a soundtrack of some of Mario's greatest hits over the past 30 years.
Oh, okay.
Or here's a statue of the Odyssey that you can have. That
Honestly,
would be really cool.
I don't want statues, but that's fine. They can make a collector's edition that's not for me. I don't care. That's fine. Just for the people like you that want to have a statue or something. I just don't want things around my place that clutters it. I don't need any more of it. I already play video games, right?
Yeah.
It's already a problem. But yeah, I think that it would be nice if they did things like that, and it's seriously like a very optional collector's edition. You don't need to buy it kind of thing.
Absolutely. I think going about it is, and you're not locking content, you're designing the game to be played in its entirety, and the game experience that you purchase at the base level is the same game experience that you get if you spend $100-$200 on the game.
Yeah.
But it's just going for that extra way that makes it feel like a collector's item.
Speaking of this, the Nintendo UK store does great things with like, pre-order your game and you get this little extra bonus thing. Now, I'm not super into pre-order bonuses or anything like that. I almost never pre-order a game, but that's nice to give you an optional thing. You don't have to pre-order, but here's a Mario hat or whatever the hell they do.
Exactly.
So yeah, limited editions, I am lukewarm on, but not against.
Yeah.
Modern limited edition crazy stuff like Ubisoft is doing. Like look at the most recent Assassin's Creed game. That is the dumbest stupid thing. Venn diagram nonsense.
Exactly.
Shut up.
And with me, it's more of a sob story because I have a very lukewarm remembrance and feeling of collector's edition. I've just been really kind of let down with what more modern games have been doing. So I'm in exact agreements with you.
So let's talk about what's coming up. That is PAX East. Nintendo has outlined its 2019 lineup and plans for the games that they'll be showcasing. So PAX East is...
over in Boston.
Is that where it's at?
Yeah.
Oh.
East is in Boston, and then West is over in Seattle.
Okay. I'm trying to think of something to say in like a Boston accent. I gotta go shovel the walk and salt the carport.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That kind of sounded Chicago-ish, though. Anyway, PAX East, Jesus, is March 28th through March 31st. So Nintendo has outlined what they're going to be showing. They have two different booths. At one booth, they will be showing Yoshi's Crafted World, Dragon Quest Builders 2, and, quote, a selection of anticipated indie games, end quote. So that's clearly like the bit more family-friendly one. Then the other booth that they'll have will showcase Mortal Kombat 11, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, and Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered. Now, all of those are super interesting because they're all third-party games, but also they're all much more mature games. So it's clear that Nintendo is pushing these equal, and I'm not even saying equal, like more so than their family-friendly ones. So that's cool. That's nice to see a good mixture.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty good lineup that they have here. I've actually been to a couple of PAX events myself, and yeah, Nintendo's always had a pretty strong presence. I remember, the last one that I went to, they had some Kirby game for the 3DS that they were about to launch.
Oh yeah, it was Robobot probably.
Yeah, probably. And their entire area was filled with 3DSs that were locked and chained up, but you just chilled out on a pink beanbag and just played the game for like 15-20 minutes or something. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love Kirby so much. Speaking of which, I bought some Kirby stuff yesterday. I'm going to post that on my Instagram later today. Check that out. My sick love for that Vor monster Kirby.
Of the list that they have, I think the game that I would be most excited to play if I was going would be Bloodstained.
Yes, same here. I want to feel how that game moves.
Mm-hmm. I think it's very interesting that they decided to bring Assassin's Creed 3 to it.
Yeah.
Because I feel... I don't know. I'm still not sold on it being remastered for the Switch. Like, that just is weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's just them kind of reselling the same game again when it doesn't need to be remastered. There's plenty of... Sorry, I'm losing my voice. There's plenty of games that were released on PS3 that came over to PS4 that didn't get all that much of an upgrade, and it was like, well, this isn't really necessary, but sure, if it's funding other games, if I don't have to buy it, you know?
I mean, that's true. And hey, ports are cheap, so...
Sure, yeah, and I don't have to buy them.
Exactly.
Especially because I just played it, like, I don't know, 6 years ago, whatever. Like, Assassin's Creed 3, that came out not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's, from what I hear, like, the worst one except for maybe the first game.
Yeah, I kind of hear the same thing, too.
So, I don't know. It might be, like, even later in the game to do this one, but Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag, is... But sorry, LNR is difficult.
Yeah.
That's why I held so long on Flag. That one is, I hear, like a great return to form until they started doing some different things like with Origins and Odyssey that I hear is well received. But anyway, PAX East, looking good.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to seeing how Mortal Kombat 11 plays, because we haven't seen actual footage of the Nintendo Switch version, and we did hear recently that Mortal Kombat 11 uses, very interestingly, a heavily modified version of Unreal Engine 3 instead of Unreal Engine 4. So I don't know, it's just interesting choices. So we'll see what's going on with the Switch version next week.
That's a really good point. I didn't even think of Mortal Kombat 11.
I didn't say Mario Kart 11, right?
No, you did not.
Okay, I thought you were throwing a jab at me, and I'm like, listen, it's a bit early.
No, it was more on just my general lack of interest for Mortal Kombat 11.
Somebody finish him. So, also, though, for PAX East is a little tease from Yacht Club Games. You should recognize this developer and publisher because they are the geniuses behind Shovel Knight. Now, Yacht Club Games teased a, quote, all-new addition to the Yacht Club Games publisher catalog, end quote. So this is clearly something that they are publishing instead of developing directly, but apparently they had something to do with like distribution or publishing of Azure Striker Gunvolt Striker Pack on the 3DS. I didn't even know that they were doing any kind of publishing stuff. So anyway, they're bringing something, and they're going to announce it at PAX East, they said. And they gave like a little GIF of what the game is. And it's like a ninja or something shrouded in mystery over a very, very ruined city. And it's got 16-bit aesthetic, so falling right in line with Shovel Knight. And it looks like post-apocalyptic and ninja stuff. And hey, cool. I like it. I like ninjas. So we're going to be seeing more about that next week.
I'm totally excited to see what this actually is, because Yacht Clubs definitely has a really good history behind them, and if they're picking a game to publish, it's something that they are fairly confident in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love those guys and gals over there. What up? In addition to that tease for PAX East, we also got a tease from Gearbox on a Borderlands-related announcement. We don't know what it is. Everybody is going nuts and making wild assumptions. I saw a stupid article earlier that had that fantastic clickbait article title of, did Gearbox just tease Borderlands? I hate those titles so much. I'm so glad and so proud of our writers on our website that we don't go with those crazy clickbait titles. Anyway, sorry. The story is that Gearbox shared an image on Twitter, and it was a pixelized and like really obvious what it was pixelized image of Borderlands 2. a promo image from Borderlands 2. Now, Borderlands 2 is on like every system under the sun except for the Nintendo Switch. So
Yeah.
people are wondering, okay, is Borderlands 2 maybe coming to the Nintendo Switch? Or it could also just be Borderlands or Gearbox using just an old image to say a new Borderlands game is coming, or an offshoot, or whatever the hell. They do a whole bunch of stuff. So there's nothing confirmed, but it's worth mentioning because a lot of people are throwing it out there.
Yeah, I have a lot of mixed feelings on this because, like, if this did end up being Borderlands 2 that they are remaking, and I'm hoping it's like the Handsome Jack collection or something like that. Like, if they took a step back and just did Borderlands 2 with maybe a couple of the DLCs and nothing else, I would be very, very disappointed. But on the other hand, like, this game has come out so many different times.
Yeah.
I did end up playing it for the PS4 when they came out with the Handsome Jack collection, and it's a fun game. It definitely holds up. Even with as old as it is still fun to play today. And the idea of taking it around with you sounds amazing. I know they tried to do the...
It was on the Vita, right?
Yeah, they did on the Vita, but because of the limitations of the Vita itself, they had to remove a lot of the enemies. It wasn't nearly as hectic or energetic or tense as it can be in the full version of the game. So I'm interested to see what they do with this. I think it's way too soon for them to actually come out and say, hey, this is Borderlands 3, even though it is something that they are working on. They have gone on record talking about that, and they've actually gone to hire voice actors for it. They basically done everything except for announce, hey, we're actually making Borderlands 3. So
Yeah. Gearbox is really weird in terms of what they've been doing in the last several years, so I'm not getting my hopes up at all.
I think this is more likely a remake for the Switch, and they're going to be doing this to build up hype for some sort of E3 announcement that, hey, we're finally doing Borderlands 3.
I'm less on the money about this being a Switch anything.
Yeah. With that said, I personally have a kind of a soft spot for Gearbox. Like I said, I went to PAX beforehand, and I was actually at PAX, I think it was the year before they released Borderlands 2, where they gave everybody in the audience a free copy of the game. And I got my free copy, and I laughed because my friend went to the Skyrim panel instead of coming with us to the Borderlands panel. So we got to rub that in his face a little bit.
Have you heard about crazy stuff that's been happening with Randy Pitchford these last couple of months?
I've heard some of the things.
It is hilarious. Now, I was not prepared to talk about this, so I'm not super knowledgeable about what's going on, but I heard about it when it happened, I don't know, was it like 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks ago? Am I just counting now? Is that what this podcast is?
Next week, we're going to be telling you the difference between our L's and our R's.
Oh, no, never. It's fairly difficult. Anyway, and we're going to throw out big old words, allegedly, is super into underage pornography. And he had a whole bunch of that on a work thumb drive. And he went to what are those places called? Medieval Times. And he left that thumb drive at the Medieval Times.
What?
It gets better. It does. And there's more details.
Oh, no.
And he left it there at a Medieval Times, allegedly. Somebody found it, allegedly. And they were like, whoa, what's all this, like, work stuff for Randy Pitchford and also underage porn? And then he made jokes about it, and he was on a podcast, and I don't know. It's wild, but he has many times in the past, in my opinion, proved himself to be a really gross human being, and this is just more fuel for the fire. And you know what? I think I can skip Borderlands, personally.
Oh, now I feel gross because I actually have his autograph.
Oh! Yeah, I feel gross that you just told me that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably a big old POS. Anyway, I want to bookend this part of our awful show, episode 20, with fantastic comments. Fantastic comments that I read in our comment section about this story. Is it a story even? I don't know. One of the commenters, named Golden Triforce, he or she wrote, "I can't wait for Sega to publish." Now, this is a throwback at how Gearbox was making an Aliens Colonial Marines game, and they took money from what was supposed to be an Aliens game, and then they put it into Borderlands, and then Aliens turned out to be like a really total big old crap game, and that was a big old controversy. But anyway, so someone wrote that, and then another commenter, Aquabat, he or she responded to this and said, like finishing that person's sentence, "and proceed to fleece the money and funnel it into an alien game. Revenge is a dish best served by a xenomorph." And I was like, oh, what a nice exchange between two commenters, and great, funny, just nice. You guys keep commenting. I like that. Good job, guys. And GDC is starting today, probably, and going on as you're listening to this podcast. GDC is the Game Developers Conference. That goes from March 18th through the 22nd. So we're surely going to hear about some games for the Switch from there. We also have some interesting information from Google saying that they're adding official Switch controller support for Chrome. And in addition to that, Google is also teasing some sort of announcement of their plans for gaming. We don't know what that means. Hardware, software, distribution, the Google flicks of gaming. It's going to be interesting to watch for because Google is a huge company, right? So who knows what they're going to be talking about, but it's somehow going to affect the video game industry and Nintendo.
This is an interesting one. I'm interested to see what they come up with.
I mean, there's nothing there, really. It's just, like, there's nothing to speculate on. We could speculate all day, but wow, I am not interested.
Yeah.
I don't care about, like, oh, are they going to not, whatever. Just let's wait a couple of days. It's fine, guys.
I think it's interesting that we are seeing so many, like, changes and innovations in the way gaming is kind of perceived. Like, I feel like that's a very broad statement to say, but I mean, if Google is planning on to do something gaming related, they have a lot of support with, like, their Android platform, and I feel like it's a smart move to go into gaming. And if Nintendo is trying to push towards being more active in the mobile market, I feel like some sort of partnership, like being able to play Android games on the Switch to some, like, limited capacity, like, that kind of thing makes sense to me. But I'm also thinking of, like, back to Xbox with their Xbox Live being accessible on the Switch as well. I think it's really interesting that we're seeing these many rumors of big kind of changes on how we are perceiving gaming.
Yeah, it's just more evidence that the gaming industry is a young industry, a malleable industry, and it can change on a dime. So it's fascinating to watch and fascinating to be involved in.
Absolutely.
Now, another thing about GDC is that the developer Behemoth posted an image on Twitter without any accompanying text that just shows 4 different colored Joy-Con. Now, Behemoth made Castle Crashers, which was one of the games that started to launch the big indie craze back on, say, Xbox 360, I want to say it was. And that game is a really fun 4-player co-op game that totally holds up. So the 4 colored Joy-Cons are like some of the main characters in that game. So lots of people are speculating. So are you going to announce Castle Crashers for the Nintendo Switch?
God, I hope so.
I hope so too. That'd be a really fun addition to the Switch.
Castle Crashers would be perfect for the Switch, especially because of the mobility and just being able to pass a Joy-Con between people. I mean, you don't need that many buttons to play Castle Crashers.
No. This jump and attack. Was there even a shield button?
Jump attack, dodge, and special, like, magic item or special skill. So.
Joy-Con's got all those controllers or the buttons. Damn it. Yeah, so I mean, like, what else could this be, right? That's kind of where our brains are going at this moment. So I think that that's
Hmm.
safe enough speculation to make. So we'll see
Yeah.
in just a couple of days.
I would totally buy this game in a heartbeat if they announced that.
Yeah, me too. This would be a really good game, just like Mario Kart, where you're in handheld mode to like just play something real quick, or to just show somebody like, hey, you want to play the Switch? Have you tried this thing out yet? Let's play some Mario Kart. Also, let's play this not fighting game, beat 'em up game. It's
Hmm.
nice. It's nice.
Yeah.
So we are going to be looking forward to all of the announcements that are going to be happening this week and the following week. It's going to be real packed coming up. Can't wait to talk about it. So that wraps up the news. Let's talk about our additional DLC. This week, my additional DLC is a YouTube channel called SNESdrunk. This is one of my favorite YouTube channels because it is so chill and it is so comforting. This is just a dude who talks about Super Nintendo games, occasionally Genesis games, and occasionally some other games from that era, even going as far as like the PlayStation era, but he's almost entirely focused on Super Nintendo and a little bit of Sega. He does not have like crazy in-depth over-analysis or anything like that, nor is it like super surface level. It's just a nice overview and little deep dive where you get a taste of what, game X is about, or whether you might like this game or this genre of games if you fall into these kinds of categories. The guy that does it is just chill, and it sounds like you're listening to a friend who knows a lot about SNES games or retro games. And it's simple. The guy's got a nice voice, makes for a relaxing and comforting watch. So, wanted to recommend him to any of our listeners who like retro games. You know I do. Plus, this guy has 99K subscribers right now after having done this for 6 years. So he's had some like good growth,
Wow,
but
that's really close.
yeah, he's had good growth but modest growth too. So he's not like like a crazy YouTuber, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
But he's at 99K. Wanted to give him a little bump since he's given me so many hours of relaxation and enjoyment. Let's try and get him to 100K. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So anyway, check him out, SNESdrunk on YouTube. Galen, what you got?
Nice. This week I've got a new one that I found recently. Colin Furs. He reminds me of just like this wacky inventor kind of guy. A lot of his videos are he takes challenges and ideas and themes and kind of builds stuff around them to make them an actual thing. One of his videos is that he made a Iron Man Hulkbuster outfit out of things that he can only order off of Amazon. And it's got actual like pneumatic and pressure activated parts to it where it moves around, and the thing's like 3 meters tall or something. He recently did a video with the new Sekiro game that is coming out for the PlayStation 4, and the main character has an axe embedded within his arm that he can like come out and attack with. He actually made that. And it's really funny watching him kind of like test this stuff out, because it's literally just an axe on a bungee cord, essentially, that he's like flipping around, and I'm just waiting for him to like slice himself or nick himself or something. But the way he designed it, it was perfectly safe. He seems like okay with it. So
Interesting.
but I just really like that kind of like wacky eventer. Let's see guys nerd out and use their skills to enhance some real life nerd stuff. So check him out. I thought it was really fun.
Cool. So let's move on to our listener mail.
Dun, 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 listener mail. Dun, 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 listener mail.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna settle on one. I'm gonna find one that just fits.
And until then, you're just gonna annoy all of our listeners, all of our most dedicated listeners who are at the end of the show.
Exactly.
I'm really sorry, guys.
Exactly. It's like...
No, it's not like anything. We're moving on. If you have an email and you would like to write in, send that email to NintendoEverythingPod@gmail.com.
That email is NintendoEverythingPod@gmail.com.
And your email might sound a little something like this. This week, we got email from Leanne. Leanne writes, "Hi, I have a few quick questions that have been lingering in the back of my mind." She's got 3 here. 1. How are you doing today? I hope all is well.
I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. A little tired. I got a lot of stuff that's been going on lately, so kind of using up all of my energy and a little bit more than I normally have.
Gotta make yourself that nice morning tea.
Number 2. Before following your podcast on YouTube and before following you on Twitter, I originally found Nintendo Everything on Facebook, which I still follow and check regularly. My question is, who runs that page? Is it Oni? I hope it's Oni. I'm sorry, Leanne, it is not me. That is run by our resident big boss and 100% cyborg, definitely not a human being, Brian. He is an insanely hard worker. He works like round the clock, and that's all his creation. That's all his genius over there on our Facebook. And number 3, what is the rarest or most expensive Switch game you own? I'm always fascinated by rare and limited or discontinued games, and you'd think the Switch is too young to have something like that already, but I recently looked into buying the collector's edition for Celeste, and I was surprised to find it for $1,000. The collector edition launched back in January for $70, and now it's already selling for $1,000. So yeah, what rare Switch games do y'all have? Thank you, and I love you. Oh, thank you, Leanne. I love you too.
Thanks, Leanne. Actually, I really don't have many when it comes to the Switch. The rarest collector's edition and the rarest game that I have would be Breath of the Wild, because just like you, I got my hands on that middle tier limited edition copy that they came out with. And the thing about the Switch is, because of the portability, I've been more inclined to get more digital titles than physical copies for this system than any other system I've had.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I mean, so thinking on this question, and I actually looked up a little bit on it, some of the collector's editions I bought in the past, I guess I have bad taste in collector's editions. Because I got, like, I was really big into the Batman Arkham City and Arkham Origins and Arkham Knight games, and I got the collector's edition with those statues, and yeah, they're like $150 nowadays. I'm like, at least I didn't depreciate what I got.
That is such a weird way to look at buying collector's editions, but go on.
Right? And like, I got the Destiny collector's edition and Destiny 2, Resident Evil 5. Just gonna leave that there. Like, I've gotten a lot of collector's editions, and with all of them, I feel like nothing has even come close to that like $1,000 price tag that you would have to get it on the third party market nowadays.
Yeah.
Oni, what about you?
I also don't have many collector's editions in general, nor do I have any of the rare ones. I looked through, and I think that probably the Octopath Traveler Wayfarer's edition is the most expensive one I have, but it's not all that expensive. It's just a little higher than what it originally was selling at. I bought that, though, because of the pop-up.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, it was really creative and artistic, and I'm a bit of a... I appreciate the art in video games, so I will always go in that direction if there is a collector's edition. That's what will intrigue me.
And you know what? With the 2D HD style, that totally, like, fits the theme and the style of the game.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was a perfect match, and I love it. I love that little pop-up book so much. So thank you so much for writing in, Leanne.
Yeah, thanks, Leanne. That was a good question. I like that one.
Yeah, she even got 3 in. She figured out the secret.
Get all your questions in at once.
So again, if you want to send an email, that is NintendoEverythingPod@gmail.com.
That email, one more time, is NintendoEverythingPod@gmail.com.
Yes. So what's coming up on the site? What's coming out? What's come out recently? We have an interview that we did with some devs at Nicholas on Crystal Crisis, an upcoming Switch game. Check that out. We also have some Octopath Traveler translations coming up for you in the very near future. If it hasn't already come out, I don't know when it's supposed to be coming out, but very soon. And of course, so much more news that we can't talk about, posting round the clock on NintendoEverything.com. Check out our Twitter @NinEverything, the YouTube NinEverything. Then you can find me on Twitter at Oni_Dino. And you can also find me on Instagram, where I'm going to be posting things about Kirby and also a whole bunch of food. I've been eating so much food lately. My Insta is at Oni__Dino. And then Galen?
You can always follow me and my stuff over at Mobius087. And if you want to follow the antics of the two of us, you can also follow our Let's Play channel's Twitter at Super Turbo Fight. Because fighter is too many characters and, Twitter names. And it's interesting. Branding is interesting. I'm learning a whole lot there. We got a couple more episodes. We're going through like the Resident Evil 2 Let's Play right now. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty fun.
Do you want to tell them the YouTube?
Super Turbo Fighters?
Yes.
Like I said, branding is hard.
That's not branding, that's promoting, Galen. So yeah, search that on YouTube. It's a little hard to find right now because you will get Street Fighter videos that pop up because we're a brand new channel. So just kind of search through the videos just a little bit. It'll pop up at the bottom. Hopefully it pops up sooner. But anyway, Galen's working on that. He's gonna be working on the branding, right?
And the promoting and learning how to promote.
Lots to learn there.
Yeah, sure.
So stay tuned next week for the Nintendo Everything podcast, and if you would be so kind, please do share it with friends that you think would enjoy, and give us ratings, likes, all that garbage. Shill. And remember, for everything Nintendo,
stay tuned to Nintendo Everything.
Bye-bye.
Farewell.